my life, I grown up in wars, in revolution, both fascist and communist, taught me passionately believe in peace.
The Oxford Concert for Peace 2019 features something called the World Orchestra for Peace. Charles Kaye, World Orchestra for Peace, it's a slightly unusual expression. The two don't necessarily synchronise with each other. So could you tell us how this idea came about? Where and when did it start and why?
In 1993, Zsolti and I were in New York, and Boutros Ghali, then the Secretary General of the United Nations, came to Zsolti and said, in 2 years' time, the UN will celebrate 50 years of existence. In Geneva, we'd like to make a special concert, and we'd like you to conduct it. Would you come and bring any orchestra you want? And Zsolti said, give me a day to think about it, and I'll come back to you. I would be honoured, of course. And we talked together, and then came the idea, why don't we put together a United Nations of musicians, the cream of the cream, the best from 70 different orchestras in 45 different countries of the world. Zsolti held himself responsible for the quality and went back to Boutros Ghali, and Boutros Ghali said, I couldn't think of anything more wonderful. And that was the first concert of the World Orchestra for Peace.
How is the orchestra constituted these days?
I am honoured and not a little proud to have inherited this virtual orchestra from Sir George, sadly, who died a year before he could conduct what would have been its second concert in 1997. And I kept alive until today the complete ethic that he and everybody wanted. In other words, to invite personally the best of each orchestra, one player only, that I knew from my experience in the business was the best, to come not for a fee, but because we want together to make a statement through music for peace. And I've managed to do this now for 24 concerts in 25 years.
It's a United Nations of musicians, I think I've heard you describe it as once. So what countries, what nationalities are represented?
At our concert in Oxford, we will have players from 13 different countries, from China, from Georgia, from Armenia, from Poland, from Spain, from Germany, from France, from the UK. We really are a multinational gathering of the world's finest musicians.
Is there a permanent conductor, or how does it operate?
We are bringing 20 musicians together, 20 string players, who will play without a conductor. And this is very rare in the music world, as you know. And we have, amongst our 6 first violins, all 6 are concertmasters of their own orchestras in different locations. And they all have conducting experience themselves and can therefore lead the piece from the first violin. And the program will be shared between 5 of them who have this experience. And everybody else listens and follows.
Remind us what they're going to play.
They're going to be playing works by Mozart, Eine Kleine Nachtmusik, by Grieg, the Holberg Suite, by Elgar, the Serenade for Strings, and by Tchaikovsky, his great C major Serenade for Strings.
Now, this particular concert, Charles Kaye, is something of a collaboration. This is a new thing, I think, for the World Orchestra for Peace. It's not just the World Orchestra for Peace, it's Oxford, or Rotarians in Oxford. Could you tell us a little bit about this idea of collaboration?
I was thrilled when Rotarians in Oxford approached me earlier this year and told me that they would like to mount a special musical event on UN World Peace Day, 21st of September. I felt this was exactly the sort of thing that we can uniquely do better than any other orchestra in the world, for obvious reasons. And I was really impressed and moved by the passion for Rotarians. I didn't know that peace was one of the key areas in which they address and do their best to raise funds, charitable funds for the future. And therefore, it was logical that we collaborate on this. And I wanted to bring them something which was unique to this country.
I suppose it's very easy to think of something called the World Orchestra for Peace as being highly idealistic, but does it have practical implications, practical resonances as well?
All of us feel that by making this statement, albeit only maybe once in a year in different parts of the world, to get across our belief, which was Scholti's belief, that music can uniquely bring nations together, encourage them to communicate. We do it through music. Our players all listen to each other. They gel as a united nations within 2 minutes of sitting down for the first rehearsal. And we feel that, and everybody who comes to our concerts feel also, when they see this, it's almost tangible, this will to communicate peacefully together and to bring this message across. And if we do nothing else, we feel this is a really practical way of making the world a more peaceful place.
So this very special concert in Oxford is taking place in the Sheldonian Theatre, which is a place of wonderful historical associations. Are you pleased, thrilled to be performing there?
We're absolutely delighted to be performing at the Sheldonian, where great musicians going back to Haydn have performed, and it is one of the most intimate places to give a concert. And this group of 20 musicians will get across to the lucky people who will be at our concert a feeling which is quite unique amongst orchestras in the world, and for which we were appointed the first time ever in UNESCO's history, UNESCO Ambassadors for Peace.
It's a United Nations of music, really, isn't it?
This orchestra is exactly that, a United Nations of musicians, but musicians with one goal in mind: how can we make the world a more peaceful one for our children?
Give us the when and where it's taking place.
The concert will happen on Saturday the 21st of September, which is UN World Peace Day, at the Sheldonian Theatre, Oxford, at 7:30 p.m.